best Sooner recruiting and football news with Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
You better lock it up. No, you lock it up. You lock it up. Lock it up.
Hit the guys up on the Riverwind Casino call-in line at 405-329-9000 or text the show on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line at 405-651-3439.
Do it! Just do it!
Now, with Locked In, here's Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
You know, Grayson, I did something last night that I don't typically do. And I want to preface it with this. I have an old college roommate, good buddy of mine, groomsman at my wedding, one of my closest friends in the world, who, as long as I've known him, has drank Dr. Pepper like it's water. Man, just like shovels the stuff down all day, every day. And I know many other folks who have the same proclivity, if not for Dr. Pepper, then for some other carbonated beverage.
One of my best friends is like this.
Uh-huh. I don't drink soda, haven't for 8 years. I quit when I got to college. I was like, it's too accessible. I need to not have this temptation. And last night, I decided to crack open a can of soda. We had a couple of root beers that have been sitting in our fridge since the Super Bowl party last month. And I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'll crack one open, see what I think, see how this goes. I made it like a third of the way through the can. Just could not do it. It was overwhelmingly, nauseatingly sweet. And I was like, man, I cannot put myself, and I know we are all different people, some of us very different. I just cannot put myself in the shoes of somebody who drinks several of these every day. It's crazy to me.
I have never heard of a person who has a low tolerance for carbonation.
Well, it's not about the carbonation. It's about the amount of sugar.
Okay, or that too.
I do like me some carbonation. I'll tell you that much. Somebody on the text line asked, what's Olipop then? LOL. Olipop is a soda alternative made with a proprietary blend of natural sweeteners. No more than 5 grams of sugar in any can. I do drink Olipop. All of you on the text line saying, I thought you drink Olipop. Yes, I do.
What the hell is Olipop?
Oh, man, you've never had an Olipop?
Nope.
Man, we gotta get you educated. See, this is because you were not yet around in calendar year 2023. Calendar year 2023, I had a partnership with Olipop, and they sent me a bunch of free product on a regular basis. I ran ads for them at OUinsider.com on all of our digital stuff, all of our podcasts. Like, just to put this into context, I got married in August of 2023, and there was Olipop at our wedding. Like, there was a fridge stocked with like 6 or 7 different flavors of Olipop. And so that's what we had on hand for people to drink, in addition to, the usual suspects, water and tea and lemonade. So I like Olipop, but I like it because it doesn't taste like I'm drinking straight sugar,
I'm with you. I don't drink a whole lot of soda. There's only 2 exceptions for me drinking soda. One is cherry limeades from Sonic.
Okay.
Which are Sprite-based.
Correct.
And if it's mixed with alcohol. Other than that, I don't drink soda either.
Tattoo Baker says, Parker, stop showing everyone you're still in diapers, LOL. I would argue that consuming soda by the gallon is far more childish than the alternative, Tattoo Baker. I would argue you're the one that's childish. Gunny of Stutzman Army says, Willie is normal, leave him alone, Parker. What, normal people can't drink Olipop, Gunny? Are you saying I'm not normal? Are you calling me a black sheep? I'll take this up with you later, Gunny, in the DMs. A 405 listener says, soda free since September 9th, 2006. Can't even remember what they taste like. There we go. There we go. We got a few people that are on my wavelength. A few, at the very least. If you're tuning in, if you're just tuning in at the top of the hour, welcome to Locked In. here on the Ref Sports Radio Network. Brought to you today and every day by Dorsey Jones Buick GMC in El Reno. Family-owned and operated. They pride themselves on having the best service technicians, friendly service advisors, a low-pressure environment, great sales staff, and half-price oil changes on Saturdays. So if you haven't already, go check out Dorsey Jones Buick GMC in El Reno. Puerto Rican Sooner knows where it's at. He said vintage cola and cherry cola Olipop is delicious. Yes and amen. Tattoo Baker asked, did you even have an open bar at your wedding? Yep. There was loads of alcohol, but there was also a lot of Olipop.
I was going to ask you if you had alcohol at your wedding.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, you can't.
Because I know you don't drink.
That is correct. I do not. You can't have a wedding, though, and just not offer alcohol. Even I understand that.
My parents are going to hate my wedding.
Really?
Yeah, my parents. I have, like, the most anti-alcohol parents.
Oh, okay. So are they teetotalers? Like, they just don't touch the stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they don't.
Interesting.
They were wildly concerned when I started drinking.
Everything in moderation, right?
Which is generally has been my experience with alcohols, save my 21st birthday.
I can think of a lot of people in my life who have the same practice. What happened on their 21st birthday stays on their 21st birthday.
Yeah, that was a complete anomaly. Otherwise, alcohol in moderation is very much how I go about. You've seen me drink.
That is true. I have. How far out do you think you are from wedding territory?
Oh, probably a good. See, you got married a lot earlier than I ever planned to.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking 28, 27, 29, which is still at the earliest 4 years away.
Okay, dang. So you're just chilling, just taking your time with it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
What does the girl you're talking to right now think of that?
She don't want to get married till she's that age either.
Okay, great. So it sounds like you guys are on the same page. You can check that box.
In no way have we thought anywhere close to getting married.
Oh,
Good
fair
Lord.
enough. Brian and Bixby says you can have an alcohol-free wedding, but no one will show up. Yeah, exactly. Trust me. And to be fair, you could look at it from the standpoint, well, do you really want those people at your wedding anyway if they're going to flat out not show up because there's no alcohol?
That's a valid point.
If you're trying to be mindful of everyone's desires, everyone's preferences, just let the folks have fun.
Last one, and then we can talk about football. Grayson, are you a Coors Light man? I hate beer. I don't drink beer.
Just a straight liquor guy, huh?
Yes.
Okay. Feels like there are a lot of people that share that opinion.
I just
beer people are beer people, and if you're not a beer person,
yes,
you're just not.
It makes me feel horrible, and I also care about what I put in my body a little too much to do that.
Okay, a 405 listener gets us off on the right foot. It floated out there on the Twitterverse, and look, we talked about this on these airwaves before, that John Mateer's NIL deal at Oklahoma is in the neighborhood of $3 million. Like, that's not news if you listen here on a daily basis. I have talked about that. Others have talked about that. It's really not a secret what the ballpark figure is for John Mateer as far as what he's making at Oklahoma. But it got out there in the public eye today via a report from Pete Nakos at On3 that, yep, John Mateer's NIL deal at Oklahoma is in the $3 million range. And this 405 listener asks, is Mateer really worth $3 million? Question mark, question mark. Well, it depends on what you mean by that. Was the market for John Mateer $3 million? The market for John Mateer was well in excess of $3 million. So if you're asking whether he's worth $3 million in the sense that, is there somebody willing to pay $3 million for him? Absolutely. There were many schools willing to pay $3 million for John Mateer. As far as his play on the field and whether it ultimately reflects that $3 million valuation, shoot. You don't know. I don't know. None of us know. We all have to find out together in calendar year 2025. Come the fall, we will see. And tell me if I'm off base here, Grayson, but hearkening back to a conversation I had in the 12 o'clock hour with Steely, the Baker comparisons get thrown around so liberally, and it's understandable because John Mateer has a lot of Baker qualities in the way that he conducts himself. I don't think anybody is saying John Mateer on the football field is the next Baker Mayfield, but there's a lot of similarity. My standpoint on it, my opinion on it, is that anyone who's expecting John Mateer to approximate Baker Mayfield's production is probably kidding themselves. And realistically speaking, Oklahoma does not need John Mateer to be what Baker Mayfield was from a production standpoint. From a leadership standpoint, sure, and you expect that of any quarterback. You expect your quarterback to be the unquestioned leader of the football team. But my standpoint on it is this. If John Mateer is to Oklahoma in 2025, what Dylan Gabriel was to Oklahoma in 2022 and 23, the Sooners are going to win a lot of football games. All I need to see from John Mateer is efficiency and very few turnovers. You keep the ball out of harm's way, you sustain drives, you keep the gears spinning. You don't have to put up 40, 50 points a game. All you're going to have to do is enough. And for this Oklahoma program, for this Oklahoma defense in particular, enough in the SEC probably looks like 30 points a game. If you can hit 30 points, you're going to give yourself a really good chance to beat anybody in this league.
I would be hard-pressed to find more than 2 offensive teams that will be able to score more than 30 points on Oklahoma's defense.
That's the thing, man. Like, you look at the SEC.
LSU and Texas right now are the only 2 teams I can see. Okay, yeah, they'll probably drop 30 on Oklahoma.
If you look at the SEC going into next year, man, there are no offensive programs that you fear. Genuinely. Like, it says a lot that arguably the top returning quarterback in the league is Garrett Nussmeier.
Yes.
That is the consensus opinion. Garrett Nussmeier is the best returning quarterback in the SEC. And to your point on Texas, yes, I think we all expect that Steve Sarkisian is going to have a good offense. He almost always does. You know how many returners Texas has amongst skill position players that have caught a pass at the University of Texas?
Ryan Wingo, and that's the list.
Correct. Ryan Wingo had 29 catches last year.
Uh-huh.
Nobody else coming back for Texas has caught a pass in a Longhorn uniform.
Yep.
So, like, there are some questions there.
But also, to be fair with the Texas point, though, we said the exact same thing coming into this year when they lost A.D. Mitchell and Xavier Worthy and Jordan Whittington.
Mm-hmm. And that's fair. That's entirely fair. Again, I don't question that Texas is going to have a capable offense. Steve Sarkisian is an excellent offensive mind. In fact, I would argue he is the best offensive mind in college football right now.
I don't think that's a debate.
If it is, like, I know maybe 2 years ago, Lincoln Riley is the popular answer. These days, nah, man. It's Steve Sarkisian in the crowd, at least as I see it. But Puerto Rican Sooner says, if they score 30 points a game, I'm going to get a tattoo of John Mateer at the end of the season. A 580 listener says, Texas would not have dropped 30 on OU this year had our offense been able to keep and move the ball, and there's probably some truth to that. J-Dub says, if Mateer being the quarterback means 2 more wins than they would have without him, he is worth the money. And I think that's how you measure it, right? Like, ultimately, oh my goodness, Gunny's going to love this. I'm going to go back to Moneyball here. Your goal shouldn't be to buy players. Your goal should be to buy wins. Grayson's rolling his eyes.
I'm rolling my eyes because that's the only movie you quote, but that was a hell of a pull right there.
Boom, folks. Your goal should be to buy wins. If getting John Mateer buys you 2 or 3 more wins, yep, I would say that's worth the investment.
You know what? I'm going to tie this conversation back to the one we had 2 days ago concerning whether or not to bring both Jaden O'Neal and Bo Bentley onto the roster.
Okay.
When we talk about John Mateer's NIL deal being in excess of $3 million, even though you got him on a bargain and you're dealing with finite resources, how many people at the same position can you pay that kind of money to? Mm-hmm. Now, you're not going to pay the same amount of money to your backups. Don't get me wrong. I'm not insinuating that. But Jaden O'Neal and Bo Bentley, even as incoming freshmen, are going to command dollars.
Yes, they are.
Just like Michael Fasusi commanded dollars and he hasn't played a down for Oklahoma. Now multiply that times whatever a quarterback is going to command versus a left tackle. So you've got that going on. And by the way, Michael Hawkins is still on the team.
Yes, he is.
And by the way, I know you threw out the scenario that, well, maybe Michael Hawkins might leave. Here's the counterpoint. Michael Hawkins is a dude that has said he wants to be here. So you could look at a scenario where you've got all 4 of those dudes on the roster. How much money does that leave you to get premier players to fill out the rest of the roster? That's the part of roster construction that comes to mind when you talk about, are we going to bring in 2 blue chippers at quarterback in the same recruiting class?
And that right there, everything you're describing is one of the many reasons Oklahoma hired Jim Nagy. It is Jim Nagy's job to make that call. It is Jim Nagy's job to look at the quarterback room, what each of those guys individually are making, and decide, okay, can we pay all of these guys? Or do we need to let one go? Are we going to have to let one go? Or are we just going to have to offer them significantly less money than market value and see if they want to stick around? I trust Jim Nagy to handle that situation appropriately. And Jim in Arlington asked, what has happened to Michael Hawkins? I've not seen or heard from him in a long time on social media. Yeah, Michael Hawkins doesn't really do social media anymore. And he might have addressed this in a press conference when he took over the starting job briefly in the season. But during the season, during the football season, this past season in 2024, he pretty much got off social media. He still has his accounts. He'll still check in from time to time, but for the most part, especially if you're the quarterback at the University of Oklahoma, it's probably in your best interest to stay off of social media because there's just so much noise. Good noise and bad noise, right? So much noise that you're just better off not paying any attention to. I mean, right? It's the same reason you block people on Twitter. If what someone is posting on Twitter is stuff you find obnoxious or irrelevant, stuff that you do not want to be digesting, you just hit the block button and they're taken care of, right?
Yeah. And it's a well-known sentiment in football, to the texter's point. If you're hearing a lot from your backup quarterback, generally that's not a good thing. Mm-hmm. So the less you hear from Michael Hawkins or even about him too, probably for the best.
Yeah. I'll say this, Michael Hawkins, thus far in spring, has been really, really sharp. And the one thing I can promise you about that kid is that, yeah, look, everybody's expectation, externally and internally, is that John Mateer is your starting quarterback. Michael Hawkins isn't conceding that job to anybody. He's going to make sure Mateer has to win it.
How wild would that look if he does usurp John Mateer, and now you've got your backup quarterback on a $3 million plus deal?
Well, and here's the thing. If there was a scenario where Michael Hawkins winds up starting again in 2025, he better play well. Because if he doesn't, then there will be rioting over the amount of money that Oklahoma dished out to John Mateer, only to have the guy that was already there on the roster, end up being better. Tattoo Baker asks, there still is Twitter? Yeah, you should know, Tattoo. I see all the stuff you be tweeting.
Are we calling him Tattoo John now? If he gets the John Mateer tattoo?
Was he the one that promised?
Was he not the one that promised it? Oh, he's the one that said new Tattoo John.
Okay. Yeah, I thought it was somebody else. Somebody whose name we didn't have that promised to get the John Mateer tattoo.
That's on me.
All right, folks, we're overdue for an opening timeout. Let's hit one here, come back, talk more OU football and recruiting with all of you on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line, 405-651-3439. If you want to chime in, keep it here on the Ref, the home of Sooner fans.
This is Mark Van Hoos, owner of Van Hoos Fence. Van Hoos Fence has years of experience and proven superior performance, kind of like a certain head ball coach.
We know Van Hoos Fence offers the best value and service for your residential, commercial, or sports fencing needs. Whether it's a new install or repair work, let Mark and his team at Van Hoos Fence be your trusted resource.
Call us today at 405-735-1167.
Save yourself from Googling it up. Go to vhfence.com. They will work with you in a great way.
More than 600,000 Oklahomans have disabilities. We can't afford to leave great employees behind just because they do things differently.
who we are and what we accomplish
are much more important.
Hire an Oklahoman with a disability and gain dependability, commitment, and lower turnover. Reach out. Oklahoma Rehabilitation Services, okdrs.gov, 1-800-845-8476.
Ever wonder why someone would wake up at the crack of dawn just for a chance at the unknown? Maybe a better question is, what are you waiting for? Pacifico is brewed for those who follow their own path. That's living life anchors up.
Football. You love it. We love it. You live it. We live it. You need it. We got it. Nobody covers college football better. The Rush.
Right here on the Ref Sports Radio Network.
Schumacher Law Group, when experience matters. Tracy Schumacher is a former prosecutor and former district judge. Whether it's a probate challenge, criminal charges, or contentious divorce proceedings, experience matters. The attorneys at Schumacher Law Group provide compassionate, knowledgeable advice, all while fighting for your best interests. Find Schumacher Law Group online at lawgroupok.com or call 405-701-1882. Hometown lawyers ready to fight for you when experience matters.
March is here, and the home of Sooner fans is ready to make the best 68-team giveaway better than ever again this year. Join us Monday, March 17th for the Ref's 24th annual 68-team giveaway, live at Buffalo Wild Wings off of 19th Street and more, from noon to 7, as we make this year's 68-team giveaway bigger and better, with more ways to win than ever before. Come to the home of wings, beer, and sports, and sign up in person for a chance to get a team from the field of 68. The better your team does in the tournament, the better your prize. And even members of the Ref Army who don't get a team get a chance at one of more than 30 instant prizes throughout the event from noon to 7. The Ref's 68-team giveaway is presented by Riverwind Casino. Riverwind Casino. Good times, great rewards. The Ref's 68-team giveaway is also brought to you in part by the Central Oklahoma Buick GMC dealers, Buffalo Wild Wings, Cavens Group, Westwood Family Aquatic Center, Mitchell's Jewelry, Signature Pool and Patio, Valiance Bank, Bob Hurley RV, OEC Fiber, and many more. That's the Ref's 24th annual 68-team giveaway on Monday, March 17th at Buffalo Wild Wings of Moore from noon to 7. The Ref, the home of Sooner fans, and your home for the best giveaways this March.
Good lighting is an absolute necessity these days, but not all lights are created equal. Did you know that you can reduce the energy consumption of a light fixture by up to 85% by converting to LED? Sounds like a great opportunity, but finding the right LED product isn't always easy. At Wade Electric, they have the knowledge and experience to provide an LED conversion that will save you money and stand the test of time. Whether in your home or office, get the right money-saving LED product the first time and call Wade Electric today at 405-329-1940 to receive a free estimate.
It is locked in here on the Ref, the home of Sooner fans. Parker, Thune, Grayson, Singleton with you. The Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line available to all of you at 405-651-3439. A 918 listener kicks us off this segment by saying, saw the Jim Nagy video on YouTube. He teased that they are going to go hard in the transfer portal. How do you think that goes, and how many portal players do you see Oklahoma pursuing in the future, whether it's this season or seasons to come? Well, look, there's one question I can answer for you. I mean, that's what, 3 different questions contained in that text? There's one question I can certainly answer, one question I can kind of answer, one question I cannot answer in any form or fashion. I have no idea how many portal players Oklahoma is going to pursue on an annual basis in years to come. That's going to be largely dictated by need, right? So if I were to throw a number out there, it would be nothing more than a guess. How many portal players do I think Oklahoma is going to pursue this spring? Well, I can answer that. I expect them to take another wide receiver. I expect them to take a cornerback. And I expect that they will be in the market for a linebacker and a defensive tackle. That doesn't necessarily mean they have to have one, but if they see one that can add value, they will go grab one at each of those positions. As to how it's going to go with Jim Nagy at the helm, I think you have to expect that Nagy is going to be able to give Oklahoma some splashier news in the portal, I would say, than what you've been accustomed to in years past. I would think that Oklahoma, given Nagy's penchant for just finding dudes across college football that can play ball at a high level, as well as the relationships he's going to have to start working the back channels even before those players hit the portal, I think you'd expect that Oklahoma brings in some legit difference makers. Maybe not stars, but certainly difference makers. If Oklahoma can bring in, say, a linebacker that gives you 30 tackles this fall, shoot, I think that's plenty good enough with what you got there. Kip Lewis, Samuel Masigo, Kendall Daniels, and the rest of the crew. If you get a linebacker that can give you 30 tackles, that's great. If you can go find a wide receiver that gives you 30 catches, 400 yards, 3 or 4 touchdowns, that'll play, right? You'll take that. So I'm not necessarily under the impression that Oklahoma is going to go find another Dominic Williams this spring. But I also don't feel like they need to.
1,000% agree with you. I still think they need another corner.
Yes, that is the biggest need.
Agreed. That is the biggest need. You would like to have more depth at wide receiver, especially coming off of last year. You would like to have more there. You would like to have more at linebacker. But I think defensive tackle is one of those where bringing in a guy could potentially be an insurance policy, given how David Stone's spring goes. And if his spring goes really, really well, first of all, it makes you a lot more confident that you've got somebody behind Jaden Jackson who just underwent a surgery in the offseason. But also, I think it lessens the need for it. And if you have a defensive tackle rotation that would be that deep if David Stone inspires confidence, you've really got something there. But corner, obviously, is the main need, which, by the way, corner was the defense's weakness until Eli Bowen appeared. We talked about Des Malone's 40. Kenai Walker was getting burned left and right on a weekly basis, too. And Gentry Williams, quite frankly, I know you're not really too concerned about the shoulder. I think he's one tackle away from knocking that thing back out of place. So you would like to have another one there. So I think everything you just laid out is completely spot on. I think wide receiver, is your least need of them. Just because, especially with the freshmen that are coming in, with Elijah Thomas and Manny Choice, and how we expect them to be at least capable of contributing in their freshman year, I think, to me, that makes wide receiver the least of your needs. And if you don't get one, cool, no big deal. Linebacker, you need the extra depth. Defensive tackle, you could use the extra depth. Corner is a must-have.
CJ Sooner in Florida says, Parker and Grayson, you guys have the best show on the station. Need to extend the show to at least 2 hours. Well, thanks for the positive feedback, CJ Sooner. Definitely let the bosses know. I mean,
I would love 2 hours.
We'll take the pat on the back from you and any listener.
Appreciate
all
you,
day
buddy.
long. Thanks so much for the kind words. Elsewhere on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line, Eric in the OC, going back to the conversation about NIL and quarterbacks, asks, good point. If we get both Bentley and Jaden O'Neal, who gets more? Do they get equal? And does that cost us another player? Yeah, I think it's fair to say we just don't know right now, because certainly Oklahoma has not finalized any NIL arrangements with Jaden O'Neal this far out. And Lord knows what the market is for Bo Bentley when it comes time for him to commit, because he's going to take a bunch more visits. He's going to see a bunch more schools. And, yeah, I like Oklahoma's odds to land the kid right now, just based on what I know talking to people within. But they're not having any NIL conversations until official visit season at the absolute earliest. So where those two fit in financially, alongside, hypothetically, the likes of John Mateer and or Michael Hawkins and or Jet New, and I guess maybe and or Cole Gonzalez as well. Just don't know yet. But again, I think you trust and expect that all of the questions and concerns pertaining to money are handled by Jim Nagy and handled in a manner that's going to behoove the university and the football program as a whole. A listener in the 620, that's the state of Kansas, isn't it? Yes, it is. From everything I've been hearing, Kansas's own Jaren Kanak is clearly the number one tight end right now. How true is that? I don't think many things are clear 1 week into spring practice. I don't think it's clear that Jaren Kanak is the number one tight end. Does he look like a number one tight end type guy on the practice field? Yeah, 100%. He does. I think the only things that are clear at this point, having watched 2 practices in the last 6 days, and this might be the only thing that's clear, actually, is that Giovanni Gibson is going to be a bad man at wide receiver. If healthy, he's going to be a major difference maker. That's the only thing that's really screamed at me thus far. I like where Jaren Kanak's at, progress-wise. He has stated that he feels a degree of comfort on the offensive side that he never felt at linebacker, which is great to hear. And I think he's going to play meaningful snaps for Oklahoma. Does he start? I don't know. But he's got as good a chance as anybody.
Let me ask you this on the Jaren Kanak subject. If he is the best-looking tight end, after you've launched expectations for Devon Mitchell, Caden Helm, you're hoping eventually emerges as somebody dependable, and you bring in Carson Kent. Is that a good thing? Or are you wondering? Are you more? Let me ask. Let me ask.
I understand the question.
Let me ask this in a better way. Does that say more about Jaren Kanak, or does that raise 3 red flags about the other 3 guys I just named?
I don't think there is any shame for any of those guys in the tight end room in falling behind Jaren Kanak on the pecking order, except for Devon Mitchell. Like, Devon Mitchell, even as a rising sophomore, or I guess redshirt freshman, with how highly regarded he was coming out of high school, he's not going to have very many excuses for very long. Like, it's got to start coming together for him this year. That has to happen. But you got to consider, like, Caden Helms has been through 2 significant knee injuries. Carson Kent is a former walk-on at Kennesaw State. Cade McIntyre was a 2-way guy in high school that is really athletic, certainly, but has dealt with injury issues of his own. Will Huggins just transferred in from Pittsburgh State, where I think he caught all of 19 passes last year.
Mm-hmm.
All of those guys are more than excused if Jaren Kanak is higher on the totem pole than they are to start the 2025 season. Devon Mitchell, though, like if Jaren Kanak is listed above Devon Mitchell, I think that's what's going to upset people, and justifiably so, because expectations for that guy have been and are through the roof.
But here's the thing, though. You're talking about guys, and yes, McIntyre was a 2-way guy. Helms has been through some injuries, no doubt. But you're still talking about people being behind a dude who hasn't played on that side of the ball since high school. Which, judging by how long Jaren Kanak, and by the way, this is no shade to him, judging by how long Jaren Kanak has been here, seems like damn near a half-decade ago.
Again, I don't want it to get lost or to be unclear at all what type of athlete Jaren Kanak is. 6'2", 230, runs a 4.4 flat. He's a freak show. And genuinely, Grayson, if there's one position where historically guys have been able to thrive without a whole lot of seasoning at that specific position, if they're just freak athletes, it's tight end. Right? If there's a position where a guy like Jaren Kanak, who at the end of the 2024 season was just kind of a football player floating around without a clear positional fit, if there is a position where he can make a difference, it's tight end. This listener in the 405 Said, again, stop sunshine pumping. Joe John is the worst coach on this staff. Stop with the lies.
Is this the same 405 listener you were beefing with during Steely's show?
Yes. I'm not really sure what this listener wants to hear or what issue they take. They said tight end has to know the sets. Yes, everyone does. That is a basic prerequisite. But I don't know how many times I have to reinforce the fact that I'm not trying to sell you on Jaren Kanak being a 50-catch guy. I just think he's going to play snaps, meaningful snaps for OU. That listener said, let me call it. No, we're not letting you call in. We've been over this.
Why do you sound like a mom who's telling their 10-year-old kid, no, you cannot have candy when we go to the grocery store?
Well, because the little kid keeps asking in this case. Gosh, man. Cole in Claremore says, you think more guys like Helms that have been here for a few years and for whatever reason haven't made an impact yet, are they still here in the summer if by the end of spring they don't make improvements? I don't see any reason for anybody in that tight end room specifically to move on because, again, it's open season. And nobody's got the leg up. The fact that we're talking about a guy who has never played tight end before being right there in the mix for snaps at tight end tells you nobody has the incumbency here. Nobody is coming back with a leg up on the competition.
But it also tells you if somebody who's never played tight end before is grabbing a foothold so far, it might tell you that you got some work to do.
Mm-hmm. And that's very fair. Yeah, to that point, Eric in the OC said, if a guy who has never played tight end can convert to the position and be the number one that quickly, what does that say about our tight end evals? Well, yeah, okay, look. I will concede that tight end recruiting has not been spectacular the last several years. But I think they've found guys that bring value to the table. Again, Devon Mitchell at a certain point is just going to flat run out of excuses. Like, it's going to have to start happening for him with as ballyhooed as he was coming in. Cade McIntyre and Caden Helms, they've been hurt. Nothing you can do about that, right? If you're hurt, you're hurt. You got the couple of transfers, Carson Kent, Will Huggins. I think Kent could give you something. I'm really not sure what you get out of Huggins. But certainly, Eric, if Jaren Kanak is the number one tight end come week one of the season, good for Jaren Kanak. But the next thought on people's minds is going to be, how and why can he be number one that quickly? And that's perfectly fair as well.
And which one do you think will be the prevailing thought?
Well, Oklahoma has really, really struggled to recruit and develop tight ends. That's what a lot of people are going to see and think. And, again, I think that's fair. Tyson from Stigler says, I bet Kanak can block better than anyone we had last year. He is a monster. Yeah, I expect him to get on the field because he's going to be able to block. That, to me, like, I don't know what you're going to get from Jaren Kanak as a pass catcher. I think, at worst, he's going to be a functional blocker. A listener in Durant says, Giovanni Gibson's mannerisms and route running is very Jamar Chase-esque. Think we got a diamond in the rough there.
Ooh. Jamar Chase, okay now.
Now, I know you're not making a direct comparison there, and so I'm not going to interpret it as one. But I will say, if Giovanni Gibson can in any way approximate the talent and production of a guy that was, the number 5 overall pick in the draft a few years back? Yep. You'll take that all day long. Okay, folks, we got to hit another timeout. We'll come back. We'll keep hitting your texts, talking spring football at the illustrious University of Oklahoma. On the other side, you're listening to The Ref, the home of Sooner fans. Don't go anywhere.
It's your lucky day every day here at Riverwind Casino.
With nearly 3,000 of your favorite games. Plus the best rewards program in the Metro. Use your wild card to win big in our $80,000 Golden Clovers giveaway.
Party like a VIP in a private lounge at the Showplace Theater.
We've got the best of the best, and we'll see you at Riverwind.
The Ref is the home of Sooner fans and is once again your home for chaos. Every game-changing hit.
Long fly ball to left. Track. Whoa. Gone.
Every strikeout.
Got him! Swinging!
Every defensive gem.
He caught it! He caught it!
Every game, all year, the Ref has you covered.
Sooner Baseball hosts the Louisiana Tech Bulldogs this Wednesday night at 6:30 with pregame coverage at 6 o'clock right here on the Ref and the KREF app.
Insurance companies aren't in the business of saving you money. They're in the business of taking your money. Hi, this is Will Gosney with Yala Gosney Attorneys at Law. Have you ever had an insurance claim and thought, wow, I really am in good hands, or these folks truly are treating me like a neighbor? Well, that's where we can help. We'll deal with the stress. We'll get you back to your normal life. So save our number in your phone, and if you're ever hurt in a wreck, call or text us at 405-800-8080. It's 405-800-8080.
Dreaming of an escape? What about a relaxing escape to your very own backyard? Signature Custom Pools can turn your dreams into reality. Signature Custom Pools creates distinctive designs to fit your perfect getaway. Call Signature Custom Pools for your free design consultation at 405-898-9098 or visit them online at signaturecustompools.com and turn your backyard into your dream escape.
Hi, I'm Dr. Tina Floyd, your Norman School Board President. I'm running to continue representing our students because I believe that every child deserves a quality education and a bright future. As a mother of Norman Public School graduates, I know we need strong leadership to prioritize students so that all students can succeed. I'd be honored to earn your vote on April 1st. Visit floydfornorman.com to learn more.
Paid for and authorized by Tina Floyd for Norman School Board.
Children who have experienced abuse or neglect face a frightening, profound unknown. Courtrooms, foster care, new schools. No child should face these alone. Trained and supported court-appointed special advocates or CASA volunteers advocate in court on behalf of these children. They stay with each child until the case is closed and the child is in a safe, permanent home. Volunteers make a life-changing difference, but more children need our help. Lend your voice and change a child's story today. Learn how you can help right here in your community. Visit southcentralcasa.org.
Built for success? How about Built by Law? Law Custom Homes and Construction is here to build your next home. With over 30 years of experience, Barry and Angela Law pride themselves on building the best quality homes in Norman. Locally owned and operated, Law Custom Homes and Construction can also help you with carpet, tile, siding, windows, granite, and roofing. Don't wait. Call Barry Law at 405-919-7118 and let Law Custom Homes build your next quality home. That's 405-919-7118.
Are you looking for a luxury apartment for rent in Norman? The Falls at Brookhaven offers stunning 2- and 3-bedroom spacious floor plans with large walk-in closets, washer and dryer hookup, and a fabulous kitchen in a well-maintained, calm environment. From plush carpet to sleek stainless steel appliances to a pool, 24-hour fitness, and 2 dog parks, the Falls at Brookhaven has it all. Call our locally owned and operated community at 405-701-8233 or go online to thefallsatbrookhaven.com for a free tour and see what living in luxury is like.
It is locked in here on the Ref. One final segment with you before we turn things over to Tyler and Ted for 3 hours of more OU football and general sports discussion on the Rush. A 405 listener on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line, which is always accessible at 651-3439. Again, 405-651-3439. Says, heard Kevin Wilson has so far been an extra set of eyes for Bill Bedenbaugh. Yeah, I have noticed Kevin Wilson working quite a bit with the offensive line, which he's got a background as an offensive line coach, so that makes sense. Yoda says, both Bowen brothers are hurt now. Yes, unfortunate as that is.
What happened to Peyton?
Peyton's been dealing with turf toe. Brent Venables discussed that in his press conference last week. It plagued him throughout the 2024 season. He's still getting over it.
Oh, so, same thing. Okay.
Nothing significant. But, yeah, he's dinged up, as is Eli, whom I think most everyone knows at this point. Suffered an ankle injury that has him in a boot and on crutches. So, a 405 listener says it seems like Kanik is very similar to Josh Norman, circa 2001. Stoops ran that jet sweep a lot. I don't think Kanik is an inline tight end at all, but rather an athlete to get the ball. I can see that. And I think Jaren Kanak certainly with his skill set offers you a bit more versatility at that position. He's not just an inline tight end. I think he could play inline tight end, but that's certainly not all he's going to be able to do. I'm curious, did Bob Stoops and OU actually run the tight end jet sweep in 2001?
I was about to say, this was the year I was born, so.
Yeah, this is scandalous if so.
Also, anytime somebody brings up Josh Norman, my mind immediately goes to Carolina Panthers, Josh Norman.
Mm-hmm. Can't fault you for that. That Josh Norman, he was a problem for a few years there in the league.
That year he was throwing hands with Odell Beckham might have been his best year.
Okay, Spence and Tulsa, this is a step too far. He said, if Kanak is the best tight end in the group this fall, that falls squarely on the shoulders of Josama bin Finley. Tell me you're on the burner-verse without telling me you're on the burner-verse. That's a very burner-verse text.
There's a dude on TikTok that calls the Mavericks GM Nico Harrison, calls him Osama bin Harrison after he traded Luka. It's the funniest thing.
Unbelievable. Listen, you don't have to like Joe John Finley. I'm not going to try to make you like him. But the man is doing his best. That's why I feel for it. And I know people hate Seth Luttrell, man. And he just didn't do a great job last year. I mean, we all saw that. I do think it's unfortunate that that's still a human being. That's still an Okie from Muskogee, in the words of Merle Haggard, that is basically never going to be able to show his face on this campus again. Because everybody hates him that much.
Nope.
I just think that's unfortunate. I know a lot of people, it's easy when we're talking about college football and the coaches and the players to lose your sense of humanity for these individuals. But it is unfortunate that a guy that was a captain of a national championship team at Oklahoma is going to have his legacy forever soured and tarnished by his 8-game stint as offensive coordinator. Glenn from Nashville says, I was alive and well in 2001, and yes, I recall some jet sweeps with Josh Norman. Great athlete. So there is precedent for the Bauer Sharp experience, or at least that aspect of the Bauer Sharp experience.
You have no idea how much sense a lot of things from 2024 just clicked in my head.
913 listener says, check out the OU Nebraska 2000 highlights. I believe Josh Norman scored on a jet sweep that game.
I think he did, because I do remember. I think I have seen those highlights.
No way. That is crazy. Gunny says, Curtis Fagan was a beast on the end around. I'll take your word for it, Gunny. That was a little bit before my time. Will from Moore says, I think I may actually be okay with the tight end jet sweep now with Kanak with his hand in the dirt. I mean, if there's one tight end you don't mind giving the jet sweep to, it's a guy who runs a 4-4. You'll take that. Certainly superior to Bauer Sharp.
Do we bring the RPOs back and have Kanak run in the flat as a potential option?
Oh, man.
You can tell I've been playing way too much college football 25.
And I tell you, I spam that play on college football.
Do you really?
25. Oh, yeah, the RPO with a little tight end flat route.
Who's your team? Did you ever have a dynasty team?
So, yeah, I play in a couple of different dynasty leagues. We have a dynasty league at ouinsider.com. I use UTEP in that dynasty.
Okay.
And then I have another dynasty that I'm in with a bunch of college buddies, and I use Wyoming.
Okay. I use Coastal Carolina.
Oh, you like that teal turf?
I don't know what made me choose Coastal Carolina. Actually, I probably do know. I'm not going to say it on air, but
I don't even want to know where your head's at right
now.
now.
Well, the text line might help us out here.
Oh, the Shants, baby. I remember their legendary run to the College World Series title in 2016. I was there. I was there for basically all those games.
Were you really?
Oh, my goodness, man. That was an annual experience growing up in Omaha. You'd go get a booklet of 10 GA tickets from Hy-Vee. And I tell you, like,
Hy-Vee?
That's a grocery store up there.
Ah.
Yeah, there's only 13, 14 total games in the College World Series. So within reason, you can go to basically every single game that you want to or can attend with one of those booklets. It costs you $80. $80, you get 10 GA tickets. You can just go downtown and watch baseball for a week and a half straight. And so that's what me and my buddies would do.
Wow. Okay.
I got a Coastal Carolina T-shirt somewhere. I also have a photo of me and Marlins Man. You remember Marlins Man?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I got a photo of
Did
me
you really?
in my Coastal Carolina teal shirt with Marlins Man behind home plate at Game 3 of the championship series.
Spence and Tulsa on the text line. Play with the Service Academy, you cowards. Okay, I promise I love America. I cannot stand watching most of the Service Academies play football.
Not a triple option guy?
No, I do not like the brand of football. I don't watch the Army-Navy game. I just don't like watching that brand of football.
Hey, here's a very, very countercultural take from this listener in the 405. This is bold. I wonder how well this will be received. If a linebacker can turn into a starting tight end, Joe John must actually know how to coach. Weird concept. Interesting perspective.
That is a way to interpret this.
A 214 listener, that's State of Texas, says, I don't know, guys. The Jim Nagy hire is cool and all, but I haven't heard anyone explain clearly why a big-time recruit would be all that interested in the GM position. Are recruits truly interested in playing for a well-run NFL-caliber athletic organization, or do they just want the bag? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks.
You want to go first or me?
I'll just say this. Jim Nagy himself is not making much of a difference in the mind of any recruit. But the structure and the organization that Jim Nagy brings to the table is exactly why Oklahoma is going to be better equipped to recruit elite talent. Because, yes, there are a ton of recruits that are just looking for the bag. But if you have somebody like Jim Nagy that can decide, make evaluations and decide based on your available pool of funding, whether said player is actually worth it or not, whether you would be justified in unloading that much money for any one individual, I think Oklahoma is going to be better equipped to fight those big-time battles because if you have a guy, say, that's worth $800,000, and then you have another guy that's also a 5-star, ranked in the same tier, but that Jim Nagy decides is absolutely not worth $800,000, then that enables you to kind of cull the fold as far as your focus. And you can just say, okay, forget this guy. We're going to concentrate our efforts relationally and financially on landing this guy that we feel is absolutely worth the amount of money that he's requesting.
Yeah, and to the texter's question, I think the texter answered his own question. If a recruit is interested in playing for an NFL-type organization, you absolutely go, or at least heavily consider, Oklahoma. Because what in Oklahoma resembles an NFL organization? The GM role, who is charged with, to put what Parker just said in 3 words, properly pricing commodities. That's absolutely very NFL-like. So if you want something that's run like an NFL team, there you go. That's Jim Nagy is your answer.
Somebody on the text line said, Teddy would love it if you guys extended Locked into 2 hours. I'm sure he would. I'm sure he would.
Probably.
Santa John says, listen, Nagy's value is the money OU won't waste, not the amount of money OU will spend. That's a very good text, Santa John.
That is on the money.
Excellent way of putting it. Excellent way of putting it. You are a very intelligent man. Because, yes, the waste is going to be eliminated. Call it Doge.
And by the way, look, is that to say Jim Nagy won't make one wrong evaluation here or there?
Oh, he will. Everybody does.
Will he overpay for some people and it might just end up being glaring? Sure, that might happen. See if he doubles down on those mistakes. That's the mark of a good executive there. Double down on the things that, lean into the things that work and bail on the things that don't.
Gunny of Stutzman Army says, I take back what I said about Willie being normal, meow.
What is with the cat sounds now? Where did that come from?
Jaron Kanik. Came from Jaron Kanik's interview session the other day.
The one where he was talking about he's been on the jugs?
Yes. Yes. I guess he said the word meow a total of 11 times in that availability. And as I understand it, it's a bit from the movie Super Troopers, which I have never seen?
Oh, yeah, it is. It
Okay,
is.
but,
Yeah. It's been a minute since I've seen that, but yes.
Okay, there you go. So at least you know. I don't. Bo in Murray County, great text to close us out. Just don't be the Browns. It's going to be hard for Oklahoma to become the organizational dumpster fire that the Cleveland Browns are at any point in time, especially while Jim Nagy is on staff. All right, folks, that's it for Locked In. Been a fun hour. Thanks for coming along with us. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place, with a Thursday installment of Locked In here on The Ref. Don't go anywhere. Teddy and Tyler take it away next on The Rush.